Welcome back to Imperium Orbis. We are now on episode 4 of the series. In the last episode we saw the complete collapse of China, resulting in the creation of many new Chinese states. At the end of the video I had mentioned that both Galicia and Carolina had left the Square Alliance, due to rising tensions with Orbis, because of Orbis' new repression policy, which the people of Carolina and Galicia were not in favor of. After Carolina left the alliance, Orbis vowed revenge on Carolina, as they feel they are losing influence. In this video we will see what Orbis does to get back at Carolina. We begin in the newly annexed Mexican territories. In the last episode, after Mexico left the Circle Alliance, they annexed the state that was formerly here, which Carolina set up as a buffer zone. So, at the moment, Mexico is currently in the process of moving their military assets to this new border. Now, normally, this would be a regular process. However, due to the border they are moving to being the border of one of their current enemies, Carolina, this process is being rushed. Now, this is important because it may lead to error, and it does end up leading to an error. One of the military groups of Mexico accidentally moves their military assets into the border of Carolina. The Mexican military immediately realizes the mistake and attempts to contact the military group. However, they are unable to communicate with the group. Meanwhile, Carolina also realizes this, and they send out an army group to sort out the issue. However, when the group arrives, the Mexicans arrive at the same time. At the start, the two sides cooperate to resolve the issue. However, the original Mexican military group that had accidentally strayed past the Carolinian border does something extremely odd. Just as the two sides meet, they open fire on the Carolinian forces. This causes a major skirmish to take place. During this, the group flees the scene. After reports of this are seen in both nations, Carolina declares war on Mexico. This sends the Mexican government into a complete panic, as they have no idea why their own forces would attack Carolina. Nevertheless, they prepare for war. As soon as the Carolinian military is fully mobilized, they quickly march down the Mexican border. Some of the first battles of the war are a decisive victory on the part of Carolina. Mexico begins to feel very worried. They attempt a counteroffensive, which manages to hold Carolina off, but make no gains. Because of this, they resort to the extreme. After World War III, unlike our timeline, Mexico refused to give China back their nuclear bombs. It is here where Mexico uses them. 6 nuclear bombs are launched across the Gulf of Mexico into Carolinian territory. The Carolinian Air Force attempts to shoot down the nuclear bombs over the water, however, 2 get past them. The nuclear bombs land in New Holland, destroying Miami and Tampa. Mexico also sends 3 nuclear bombs to the front line, heavily damaging Carolinian military capabilities. This also sways the people of Carolina against the war, seeing the great threat Mexico poses. Now, you may think, well, Carolina could just respond with their own nukes. However, after World War III, Orbis demanded all nukes of their allies be returned to them, meaning Carolina now has none. After this, the front turns heavily in the favor of Mexico. Seeing this, the terrorist organization launches an attack on Carolina, looking to gain the rich lands of Los Angeles, which they felt they should have gained after the war. The front is heavily pushed back, until Carolina is able to sort out their logistical issues and hold the front off. Pretty much the only reason that they are able to do this is the fact that the terrorist organization are not cooperating. This front holds steady for a while. However, soon, something odd happens. Imperium Orbis moves naval vessels into the southern Gulf of Mexico. Mexico and Carolina are confused as to why, until Orbis declares war on Yucatan and Central America, both Mexican allies. This causes a sudden realization in Carolina. The reason that the group of Mexicans had attacked them is because they weren't Mexican at all, they were spies from Imperium Orbis. Imperium Orbis wanted to distract Mexico and Carolina in a war in order to set up influence in the Americas to weaken Carolina. This had been Orbis's plan for revenge. The Carolinian government then reports this to Mexico. Seeing this, Mexico is suspicious at first to believe this. However, they eventually come to understand the situation. Despite Mexico nuking their territory, the Carolinian government is willing to offer peace if reparations are paid, and Mexico helps Carolina to defeat the terrorist organization. This causes an unlikely alliance to form. The nations which had just been fighting immediately work together in an invasion of the terrorists. Not even a week into this, the terrorists offer peace, seeing the situation they are in. The only reason that this is accepted is because Carolina's population is calling for the end of this war. So, let's take a look at this pretty interesting peace treaty. So, here, we can see a compromise is made. While there are not too many changes to the map, there are some other things to cover. So, as we can see, a new border has been drawn between Mexico and Carolina. This border was decided by a vote held by the Texan locals for whether they wanted to stay a part of Carolina or not. Moving north, we can see the Carolinian puppet state has taken a chunk out of the terrorist organization. Mexico has sorted out the border issues with them in the south. We also see that Mexico has to pay heavy war reparations to Carolina due to the damage done. The government officials in Mexico are also put on trial for ordering the nuclear strike, of which 19 are found guilty for playing a direct role in the event. Now, while that is it for the peace treaty, something else happens. Shortly after the treaty, Orbis begins setting up influence in South America, just as Carolina had said. This causes the founding of an alliance, looking to stop Orbis. And so, the two nations who were just enemies unite in a defensive pact. That is it for this episode. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe. Something I would like to note is that I am very happy with how this series is going at the moment, and I hope you guys are excited to see it progress. I have a lot planned for this series. Anyway, that is it. Thanks for watching.